Time for our panel today, economist Rob Campbell and Maryanne Spurdle from the Maxim Institute. Good morning. Good to see you both this morning. So we'll start with the drugs. We just had a researcher on who said you basically need to not legalise, but decriminalise all drugs. That is the best thing you could do from a health perspective. Rob, agree?
Well, I'm not a health expert, but I think there's a lot in what is being said. We currently legalise a lot of drugs. I go back to the old days of Jefferson Airplane and the song Feed Your Head, and that's what most of us do. If you want to feed your head, get out of the space that's in your head. It's not hard to do these days. There are lots of drugs legitimately available to do it, from alcohol through to prescription drugs, etc. And we do demonise some particular drugs. I wonder if that woman's not trying to put my dealer out of business, actually. There is an issue here of health and the resources that we have to support people who are drug using and doing themselves and others harm. And I think you raised that point. So if we could do those things, and if we could do the other things that didn't mean people wanted to get out of their heads so much, then I think it's possible to do. I think it's a bit dangerous to do, just as it is with all drugs, but we could certainly lift the health attention of that we put onto drugs rather than the criminal intent.
Yeah, Maryanne, your thoughts?
Well, there's trade-offs, obviously. So if you decriminalise, then for some people, it may be easier to get treatment. There might be other things that are easier, but you'll also have more people using the drugs because there's easier access. So you'll have more of the people who then become addicted, who experience psychiatric harms, who need the treatment. And are we going to have enough people to treat the people who now need treatment? So there may be some people who it's better for, but there are going to be others
who it's not. Do you think there are people out there right now who only don't do drugs because it's illegal?
Probably. Like anytime you legalize something and there's easier access, I mean, you look at the states that have legalized cannabis, use goes up.
Right.
Use goes up.
People who otherwise wouldn't have, they go, oh, well, now that it's legal, I'll give it a hoon.
More use. And so there's more harms because you've got, they track like more fatal road crashes, more people hospitalized. So all of those things are going to go up if you legalize. The question is it worth it? I don't think it is.
Okay. It's one of those ones where it's as you say, so demonised that it's hard to change public opinion on it anyway, isn't it? It's quite entrenched.
I think we tend to swap drugs rather than start or stop drugs as availability becomes available. I understand at the moment there's more cocaine around in Aotearoa, and cocaine use is therefore going up only because there's more available. People are swapping drugs. People aren't suddenly deciding, I want to have some cocaine. They're probably deciding to swap from alcohol to cocaine because it's available.
Right.
Yeah, it's a bit ironic. On the same day that all this is going on, Health New Zealand has announced that it's going to up the distribution of vaping for nicotine, all to get people off one drug and onto another drug. So there's not only hypocrisy, there's kind of a level of control in society which favours some drugs over other drugs, which I think is a concern. And so a health expert like the person you had on is well in place, I think, to be saying that we're approaching this the wrong way.
Now, the government's wants Auckland to do a whole bunch more homes. Well, we all do. 1.6 million more is the number they settled on rather than 2 million. Thank you very much. Now, the problem is there's no minimum car park requirements. And there's a great story in the Herald today about this, about a number of specific streets where they don't have enough on-street car parks and people just can't bloody get down the road. And there's a cyclist even, and you know what they can be like about cycle lanes. Even they said, actually, you need to have more parks. Don't put a cycle lane in. We need more car parks because there's just not enough room on the road. Is this a problem?
Yeah, parking isn't free, so we're either going to have to give up road space, that's a cost, or you give up, you can't have as big of a property. If you want cheaper housing, then you're going to have to give up the car park. And if you don't want to give up those things, then you end up having, cars up on the verge and everything. You've got to pick your trade-off. The question of whether or not the car park mandate should return, that's a question that I think there'll be different answers in different areas as to whether or not it's sensible.
if we're going to have more people in the city, which I don't particularly agree with, but if we're going to have more people in the city, we certainly need more houses. If you're going to have more houses, people are going to need transport. You either provide the public transport or you have to provide the means for them to park their private transport. I would have thought it's all pretty simple. So
Yeah.
there is an issue. I'm biased on this. We keep getting penalised for parking in our own driveway. There's some guy from AT drives past and pings us with parking tickets.
But hang on, is it a driveway or is it a, what did they call it? They did a map in the news.
I know all that nonsense, but whether it's a driveway or not, it's the piece of land we drive across to get into our property, put it that way.
So you're getting...
I call it a
you're
driveway,
getting
call them
stung.
simplistic.
You said at the start you don't think we should have more people living in the city. Why not?
I don't see any particular economic or social reason why we've decided we need the number of new people that the government appears to be deciding we need to come into New Zealand. Why?
I think they're just saying you need to make room for them.
Yeah. If you're going to have them, you certainly have to make decent housing for them. But the prior decision that you actually have as a target increasing your population is an entirely different question, and no one seems to really question that anymore.
Well, that's very true. I mean, I didn't really stop to. Is it not just because we need workers to do jobs?
Well, it's because we're obsessed with increasing the GDP, and yes, you increase the GDP if you bring more people in and they work and consume and do those sorts of things. But we should be stepping back and saying, what sort of society do we actually want? What would be a great Tamaki Makaurau? What would be a great Auckland? And we're not doing that. We're just saying, how are we going to live with the fact that we're pouring more and more people into the city?
All right. Maybe one for another day, Rob. The BAFTAs, did you see this, Maryanne? Look, slightly awkward. Okay, what happens is there are two black men who are on stage who are presenting an award, actors. There's a guy in the audience who has Tourette's. Do we have a video of this, by the way? It would make it a whole lot easier. No, we don't. Okay, so let me explain it without offending anyone. There's a guy in the audience who has Tourette's, and he's yelling out a number of times as these presenters are presenting their award, the N-word, so something racist, right? Now, nothing is really done about this, and the presenter stands up at the end and says, look, I'm sorry if anybody was offended, but this is involuntary. And so the question then becomes, I mean, and it's a very delicate, difficult one to answer, but you don't want to sort of stop that person from attending because they have an involuntary reaction to something, but at the same time, you don't really want people having that sort of garbage yelled at them. How on earth do you manage a situation like that, Maryanne?
Well, apparently the guy did eventually remove himself, if I read that right.
Yes, he did.
I'm just surprised that it was after the third time and not after the first. I feel like some of those things should be maybe self-managed.
Yeah,
it sounds like they handled it well as you could, with unexpected stuff like that.
Yeah, just a bit awkward.
They probably thought David Chappelle was in the audience, didn't they?
Probably. All right, we'll leave it there, guys. Thanks so much for coming in this morning. Economist Rob Campbell and Maryanne Spurdle from the Maxim Institute.